Good evening. The UK's largest North Sea oil and gas producer says it will cut 250 onshore jobs in Aberdeen, blaming the windfall tax. Harbour Energy says the move is due to what it describes as the ongoing punitive fiscal position and a challenging regulatory environment. It means the firm will have axed half of its workforce in the city in recent years. Well, business groups say the UK government's policies are destroying a world-class British industry. Stephen Brown has more.
It's the UK's largest oil and gas producer and without doubt the biggest vocal critic of the windfall tax. And today Harbour Energy said it would axe 250 jobs in Aberdeen, blaming both the tax and the UK government's position against granting new oil and gas licences in the North Sea. It is, according to one business group, the tip of the iceberg.
There's a real mix of sorrow and anger in Aberdeen today as a consequence of this news. We warned the Labour government that their policies were going to put jobs at risk. They gaslit us, they told us that jobs were safe. Here we are, there's been 600-700 jobs in the North East over the last couple of weeks alone. Since the Energy Profits Levy was put in place in 2002, there's almost 10,000 roles been lost.
Today's decision will mean Harbour Energy will have halved its workforce in the city in recent years. In 2023, it said it would cut 350 jobs of its 1,200 staff in Aberdeen. Now it will add another 250 on top of that. The firm recently announced losses after tax of $93 million, with the Energy Profits Levy given as a key reason. Today, the Prime Minister was blamed for the job losses by the opposition.
This morning, 250 more job losses have been announced in the North Sea. And yet, the amount of gas the UK is importing is doubling. So why is he shutting down the North Sea rather than getting our oil and gas out of the ground and making energy cheaper?
So can I ask the Prime Minister, in fact, can I invite the Prime Minister to come to Aberdeen and explain to my constituents why he is willing to move heaven and earth to save jobs in Scunthorpe while destroying jobs in Scotland?
But in his answer, the Prime Minister didn't mention Aberdeen once.
The SNP government in Holyrood, alongside the Conservative government, did absolutely nothing for projects like Grammer. Absolutely nothing. In Grangemouth, we have committed £200 million to secure the future for the site, delivered a £100 million deal.
But while in Scotland, 1 year ahead of the Holyrood election, the Chancellor defended the UK government's position.
Windfall tax stands, it brings in substantial money to fund our public services. It's why we were able to make a record block grant settlement for the Scottish Government at the budget last year, worth more than £5 billion because of the decisions that we took.
The windfall tax has been increased several times. Now it sits at 38% and will run until 2030. The UK government is consulting on what will replace it and its future policies around the North Sea. It's not the only firm, though, to hit out at the tax. Apache also announced it would end North Sea production by the end of 2029 because of it. The industry has repeatedly warned about the damage the windfall tax is doing.
So the reality is, without that, we won't see investment in the sector. Without investment in the sector, that undermines jobs, that undermines the energy, the oil and gas and the energy that the sector needs. There is a path where we make changes now that encourages investment, and in the longer term, what that does, that puts real value back into the economy.
But environmental groups have backed the tax, saying during high energy prices for households, it's right that oil firms pay more. For some, though, the question is when, not if, the next jobs cuts will come, and more importantly, what more will be done to stop them.
And Stephen joins us now. Stephen, this is clearly a major blow for the workforce, but also for the wider city too.
Yes, once this process is actually done, the Harbour Energy workforce, the onshore workforce in Aberdeen will be down to 600, down from 1,200 just a couple of years ago. Now, Harbour Energy has been a vocal critic of the UK government's policies in the future of the North Sea, particularly on the windfall tax. But, you know, we talk about BP's share price declining by 30% in the past year and the implications that could bring. Harbour Energy's share price has declined by around 44%. So they are obviously looking as well to try and reassure some of their own investors around some of this. And their shift has also been their focus away from the UK. You can see that in recent deals that have been done. But I think still for the UK government, particularly for Labour, especially here in Scotland, there poses a real challenge. We've had the situation around Grangemouth. We've now got hundreds of jobs going in Aberdeen. And I think this strikes the very heart of what we keep talking about when we talk about the just transition, moving those jobs from oil and gas into renewables and how quickly we can do that. Because if you're a worker at Harbour Energy and you believe your job is at risk, your question may well be, where are those jobs? How quickly will they come about? And what kind of jobs will they actually be? Now, the UK government will point to GB Energy, the investment they say it will make, the jobs it will create, the fact it will be based here in Aberdeen. But, speaking to a number of people in the city, I think there is as much concern as there has ever been about the future. And what they want is they want action, particularly around the just transition. And they say that action has to come quickly.
OK, Stephen Brown in Aberdeen, thank you.